BC Coilovers, the TGIF of coilovers. Classy enough for a night out, but not too expensive it'll make you use the credit card. Let me just get into this. BC Racing is a brand that anyone that's wanted to change out their OEM suspension has heard of. And with them bordering like Rotiform levels of success in motorsport, I think they're about to climb into some serious waters in terms of competition. Which, by the way, I'm over here on Torque Motorsports. Please don't forget to subscribe because I'm over here building drift cars, talking about Formula Drift, and of course we're releasing Torque Drift 2. And if that's not enough, you can go check out some more BC Racing products below. Now, BC Racing can have its roots traced back to Taiwan in 1999. Coming off the high that was the sports tuner market explosion of the 90s, companies stateside and internationally were trying to make parts for any and every platform they possibly could. Now, the only problem was, especially with suspension, was that they were kind of meek back then. There wasn't a whole lot of options that you could choose from. You had industry giants, sure, but with most companies like Eibach, they were mostly just supplying lowering springs and maybe a couple bits and pieces to firm up your suspension. Coilover kits weren't as common as they are nowadays. The market of performance-sided tuner parts that were easy to get a hold of, especially here in the States as well, were non-existent. That's where you really started to see big companies start to pop up like Koenig. But for coilovers, there wasn't anything. The first BC coilover to get debuted was in 2003, a year before being made available in 2004 for the BC name. Now, through the use of picking national dealers, BC Racing had a pretty decent start into the coilover world. But something that really made it special was the good old United States, and that was drifting. You see, the drift culture in the early 2000s was very new, very fresh, and somewhat confused. The drifting you see at St. Louis and Long Beach nowadays was only a dream for the skateboarders turned drivers of the early 2000s. These were at the times where like Chris Forsberg was drifting at Englishtown before the Drift Coliseum days. You can actually go find those videos. They remind me of like the old skateboarding videos. The days where Vaughn Gittin Jr. and Ryan Turk and brands like Drift Alliance were just trying to figure this new sport out. And some had more money than others, but to say it had a financial backing like it does now was like thinking a corporate apology means anything. So when BC Racing found itself in the States with an affordable kit in 2006, which was dubbed the BR series, that would go on sport tuner cars, people started to snag them with partial sponsorships and brand deals for motorsports, and more importantly, drifting. BC Racing found itself growing fast, so much so that the way it sells its products are through national brand hubs, so to speak. BC Racing US is ran semi-independently from a division like BC Racing Australia. Both hubs can give input to their headquarter locations back in Taiwan for development and pricing, but the manufacture and direction of the company is based across the waters. And with all the regions separate, it can be a little bit tricky to figure out who really leads the pack, unless you know the right people, which we do. BC Racing Suspension, or BC Racing here in the States, was the only division in BC's worldwide lineup that focused solely on suspension. The brand of BC Racing, the actual name, was kickstarted stateside, not overseas. And it paid off because over time, when new retailers joined the frenzy of coilover sales like BC Racing Australia, the style and tone that you see now was piggybacked off the US branding of the company. And you can thank Cody for that. So as product got easier to buy and a brand started to get formed, the competition at the time, it didn't really stand a chance because nobody really thought it was going to blow up like it did. These days, you see BC Racing everywhere, on the side of drift cars like the RTR fleet, Chris Forsberg, and so many more. You see them in video games, like Torque Drift 2. Now, you see BC Racing not only offering standard coilovers that can give you a little drop and more customization through their BR series, but full-on motorsport kits like the ZR, which offer external reservoirs, insane damping capabilities, and a pretty gnarly driving experience. Like if you start getting into the depths of their lineup, you're playing with the big dogs almost like Moton or even KW. And the reason I say they're nudging closer to Rotiform and their story is because I think they are. It's cool to see. This isn't a bad thing. For those that don't know, Rotiform shares a similar grassroots story, but without the Taiwan HQ. Instead, the two founders started by making one-piece wheels for the Euro car scene right during the midst of the 2007 recession. By offering wheels to car enthusiasts at a fraction of the price of like a BBS or an SSR at the same time, the car scene latched on to the brand. But as all brands grow, so did its criticisms and its expectations. And a brand that started off with just two Euro guys bodies in a warehouse quickly scaled into mergers and purchases and massive brand deals and so much more, with each potential opportunity being taken, and only a few times that I would say the Rotiform boys really lost. Now, looking at Rotiform in 2023, you'll see their wheels like everywhere. You'll see them on drift cars, which are now fully forged 1-2 pieces. You'll see the brand at the 24 Hour of Le Mans on the Ferrari spec car. And you'll see the same two folks that started the brand, one becoming the CEO of Wheel Pros and the other leading the motorsports department. It's a crazy story. And when I compare that wheel brand to what BC Racing is going and doing, I feel like they're right there too. They're invested in so much, networked with nearly everyone, and are 2 steps away from going into another motorsport that is past just drifting and casual racing. And I'm talking about fully sanctioned race events. Now they're in a little bit, and I've seen them play in stuff like that before, but I think you'll see them get more heavy-handed in years to come. BC Racing, for folks like us, continue to be an awesome snag if you're looking to get into the customizing of your car and you just want something that's affordable, easy to get a hold of, look good, and function well. They're made a ton and seem to have an application for just about any platform. And you can grow up with these coilovers, switching from the BR to an ER HM when the time is needed. But you don't always need to scale into a more expensive coilover. Like a $1,000 set of coilovers from BC Racing is gonna set up pretty much any car for almost anything when it comes to being a daily driven track car. And when you're looking to understand if this is just another rebranded coilover from overseas, it's not. BC Racing sits within like the top 5 of brands that I would say are safely and actually a great buy. So if you want to learn more about BC Racing, we've got some information below, because obviously we just signed them into Torque Drift 2. And of course, if you know me, I've been in the wheel tire suspension game for a long time, and I'm very close to the BC Racing boys and girls. And this is going to be a really fun take to see them jump into a drifting game built for you. It's got insane customization, a wicked story, digital collectibles, and more, which if you want to learn more, subscribe and let me know what you want us to talk about next. Which, by the way, I'm Alex Martini with 2 underscores on Instagram. I'm over here on Torque Motorsport. Hope you enjoyed the story, and we'll see you on the next one. Adios.